This night, the entire East Cliff was shaken. The Su family caused a catastrophe in Japan and was named and targeted by the Japanese National Security Agency, which dealt a huge blow to the reputation and influence of the Su family. At the same time, other East Cliff families, headed by the Wade family, also started gearing up. The Su family now has lost a large number of masters and offended the overseas investors. In the future, the Su family will have to tighten up and behave like a principled family. Meanwhile, other families have the opportunity to cannibalize the power of the Su family. Zhongchen was particularly excited about this. He felt that this was God's blessing. Wade's second spring is finally coming. So he summoned all his children except Cynthia and immediately formulated a 3-year plan. From now on, in the next 3 years, the Wade family will attack the Su family in an all-round way like the Su family organized the Anti-Leaf Alliance back then. Not only must we pull the Su family down from the altar, but we must also take our own strength to the next level, leave the Su family far behind, and regain the title of the nation's #1 family. However, Mr. Wade did not immediately start to do it but chose the day of the declaration of war at this year's Ancestors' Remembrance Ceremony. He couldn't hide his excitement and said to all his children, "This time the ancestor worship ceremony will bring the Wade family branches across the country to Yelling Mountain. At that time, I will use the most solemn ancestor worship ceremony to make all Wade's progeny realize that the Wade family is a large family with an orderly inheritance, a superfamily that was once brilliant. Let all the members bring the highest honor. By then, it will be an unprecedented moment of unity among the Wade family. By then, at the ancestor worship ceremony, on the grounds below the mountain, I will order all the family members to work together to defeat the Su family, and ask the Su family to severely punish Xin, the leader of the Anti-Leaf Alliance. The moment when the Wade family is up and down with the same enemy, it is the best time for us to fully fight the Su family." When the eldest child Jacob Wade heard this, he was the most excited, and said with vigor in his voice, "Dad. At that time, we will also have an anti-Su alliance. We must knock down the assets of the Su family by half. Let them directly fall out." The sequence of the 3 major families of Eastcliff, Elder Wade sneered. In Eastcliff, there are many families that have hatred against the Su family. Among them, we have the deepest hatred, followed by the Gu family. If we raise the banner of dealing with the Su family, the Gu family will definitely follow. The most important thing now is to let Charlie Wade and Sarah from the Gu family get married soon. Once the 2 of them get married, the Gu family will definitely help the Wade family without hesitation. At that time, the Su family will be unable to parry and let us slaughter them at will. Jacob Wade asked, "Dad, didn't you still say before if you want Charlie to try, can you get Zu from the Su family?" Elder Wade waved his hand and chuckled coldly. "I thought that the Su family was overwhelming us in all aspects after all. We just couldn't beat them, so it's better to change your mind and let Charlie pursue that Zu." Quote. But who would have thought that the Su family would encounter Waterloo one after another in Japan? Their vitality is now severely injured. We can go directly to a full-scale war with them, and how can we marry their girl with Charlie? Speaking of this, Old Man Wade laughed a few times and said loudly, "Ha ha ha, God opened your eyes." God opened your eyes. The old Sanye Chongyun on the side asked, "Dad, what if Charlie doesn't want to marry Gu's girl?" Elder Wade smiled unpredictably. "Charlie will also come to the ancestor worship ceremony. At that time, I will announce the plan of revenge against the Su family in front of all the children of the family, and then announce Charlie and Gu's union as a way to strengthen our overall power in order to slam the Su family underfoot. He is part of this family, he knows how they have inflicted wounds upon us. I believe he will not refuse." Eastcliff, Du's family. Before Leona got home, her parents and brothers and sisters knew about the scandal in the Su family, and they also knew that Xin had an illegitimate daughter outside. Therefore, when she hadn't come back, the other brothers and sisters of the Du family rushed back one after another at the call of Mr. Du. Mrs. Du and Mrs. Du were very much aware of Leona's temperament. They knew that as long as Leona knew about this, she would definitely return to her family's home immediately. So they didn't call Leona or let others call Leona. They gathered together and waited for her to return. When Leona's car drove into the Dew's mansion, her parents and several siblings greeted her one after another. Leona saw the whole family appear in front of her, and she was immediately moved to no avail. Unlike other business families, the Dew family has held high positions for generations, so money has never been something worth mentioning to the Dew family. Because they don't care about money, there is no intrigue between Dew's brothers and sisters. Among the descendants of the Dew family, some have inherited the mantle of Mr. Dew in the system and have excellent career prospects. Some are devoted to studying their own majors in the top universities or scientific research institutes. Some people rarely hear about it. Although the Confucian merchants have a net worth of hundreds of billions, they never show off. As for Leona and several of her sisters, they all have their own emotional destinations. Under the education of Mrs. Dew from a young age, the women of the Dew family did not have a strong sense of professionalism. On the contrary, all of them were experts in family management, and each of them had the fine virtues of a traditional woman. As soon as Leona got off the car, Mrs. Dew stepped forward, holding her hand distressedly, and whispered, "Leona, you are wronged." Leona smiled slightly and said, "Mom, don't say that. I don't feel wronged at all." Old Man Dew on the side said, "Leona, our family hasn't gotten together for some time. I'll let someone burn a charcoal fire. Later, we will have a copper pot cuisine with the family." One of the favorite delicacies of the older generations of Eastcliff people is copper pot cuisine. Different from hot pots in other places with induction cookers or gas stoves, the older Eastcliff people must use copper pots with hollow interiors and charcoal to cook meat in copper pots. This is also the way to eat from the palace. In the severe cold of Eastcliff in winter, it is a wonderful treat to eat elite cuisine while guarding the copper pot. The 5 generations of Dew's family were all native Eastcliff people, and naturally, they loved this copper pot cuisine. It's just that these years, the children have their own families, and each family is in a different situation. Although everyone often comes back to visit the elderly, it is really not easy to get together. Therefore, the old man immediately became addicted, thinking about the family's enjoyment and a good meal. Otherwise, if everyone came to comfort Leona, it might be counterproductive. Sure enough, when the children heard that they were going to eat copper pot cuisine, they didn't care that it was almost late at night, they were all excited. Lioname, the 6th oldest, was Leona's little sister. She immediately stepped forward with excitement and took Leona's arm, and smiled and said, "Second sister, I just have been idle these days. I want to stay at my parents' house. How many days will my sister stay with me?" Leona smiled and said, "Tonight is okay, but tomorrow is not. I want to go to Oru's Hill tomorrow." "What?" Everyone looked at Leona in surprise. The old man Elijah Dew asked, "Leona, do you go to Oru's Hill to grow a tassel?" Leona checked her head and said frankly, "Yes, Dad, I always wanted to go before, but I couldn't help it. Now I don't have any restrictions, so I want to go there soon, but I have a wish." Elijah looked a bit lonely and said sincerely, Changying, I failed to make Changying my son-in-law. It's the biggest regret of my life."